From a super secret location deep within the mountains of Colorado, it's time to strap up, strap in, or strap on with your host, Shenanigans in One Shot. It's From the Ashes Radio!
K-Pasa, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? How you living? Hey, you'll see my co-host in and out once or twice. Apparently, we are being overrun at the super secret location by protesting liberals and things like that. There was a lady with purple hair that was apparently throwing bunny rabbits at One Shot there, trying to. Is that our leftovers? Nice,
leftovers.
dude.
They're fresh made for us just this afternoon.
That's good stuff. As always,
everybody.
Everything's secure upstairs.
Everything is
Guard
secure.
forces in place. Life is good.
It is.
Glad to hear it. I'm gonna eat while we do a radio show because that
That's
looks really
fine.
good.
It is fresh out of the oven. You know me well enough to know I don't like my food anything above lukewarm.
Yes. So yeah,
I will be taking my supper break in just a little bit.
that would be a molten hot chicken and broccoli and rice. It looks like the perfect meal. I love it. Sorry. I just don't want everybody looking at my balls, man. My fault. This is the longest pair of shorts I've ever seen you in.
I was supposed to do PT this morning.
Are these your funeral shorts or
No,
something?
they're like
I
I'm
mean-
at PT. And
like physical therapy PT.
Physical therapy, and I'm like the only person in PT that's under. At least when I go, I'm the only person under 60. So thigh huggers are not necessarily what I wear. I have before, but
We take a different approach. Yeah. I'm like, oh, whoops, they slipped up. Whoops. I know you're working on my neck, but accidentally slid up slightly. So yeah.
the
Hey,
things you're willing to do for your country.
exactly right. Go to Thigh Huggers, enter the code ONESHOT. You will get 30% off of your orders, and everyone will love you, and we get money for that too. So do that. And go to Combat Flip Flops and enter the code ABOUTFACE, because that's where you're listening to us right now on About Face Media, and you will get a huge discount. You get a 30% discount. 15% of that comes back to us, and you get a sweet new pair of flippity floppities. So, or some people call them thongs, but yeah. Other than
I
that,
call them slippers, by the way.
slippers. That's because you spent so long in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah. Around the house, I call them slippers, but yeah, so you're exactly right. Flippity floppities, exact same thing. Wow, look at Randy Almquist is watching. So that's the boss, folks. He's the head cheese. He writes the checks. That dude took on a 50 miler this week. Good on him. Above and beyond. I'm not willing to do that shit like that anymore. So good on you, man.
Do you do it in a V6 or V8?
V2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Fuck that, man. I'm okay with rucking, like just to get ready for hunting season and stuff like that. But he does it for fun.
Yeah,
Fuck that.
I used to run for fun, and I would run to this day if I didn't have blown out knees.
Yeah, I feel like
I like it,
that's not really a thing for you anymore.
but you know what? I don't ruck for fun. I did never enjoy rucking, but I liked rucking.
It's the same thing with camping. I don't get it. People are like, "Oh, you want to go camping this weekend?" No, I want to stay in a lodge or a hotel.
I don't want to tent camp ever again.
Me neither.
The camper idea sounds great,
Yeah,
and not a lavish camper, just some basics, hard side,
my dream. You know those silver ones? I forget what they're called.
Airstream.
Airstream. I want one of those.
I think they're they're super cool, but they don't have slide outs. I want just fancy enough to have a slide out so you're not crammed in like the kitchen area.
It's just me and the spouse. Like the kids aren't invited, kind of thing. They're old enough now that I don't invite them places.
How many dogs do you have?
They're not invited either.
Okay.
3.
There's where I'm like, okay, I need to have like uncongested kitchen.
So
at least a couple of them are going with.
Well, so last night after I left the super secret location, after we were zeroing in all the crew served weapons and all,
Yes.
I went home and it was torrential downpours. I'm talking raining buckets.
It started here too last night a little bit. Not buckets, but it was raining.
But I left the back door open, so I had 3 soggy, gross, stinky dogs. So I'm trying to grill steaks and make French fries, and I've got a Great Pyrenees rubbing up against me like, "You can eat all that steak, dude." So
That's hilarious.
speaking of which, is that are we our joint private Carls this weekend or this week?
I think I have it. Yeah, I think you're private Carl and I'm private Carl.
I would. Do you want to tell them why I am a private Carl?
How about you tell Oh, do you know why I'm a private Carl?
I thought it was the same day. Same thing. No?
Oh, no, I got my own.
Okay, well, hit me. Tell me why you're Private Carl this week. For those that don't know, Private Carl, if you're haven't served in the military, every unit has a Private Carl. It's the guy that just can't get right. Always fucked up. I was Private Carl. I will tell my version of why. This is one of our favorite segments, and we get a lot of these. So, but by all means, please tell us.
You were already Private Carl for a similar incident.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, well, remember what was it, a month and a half ago?
Uh-huh.
You were
it happens to me all the time.
You were looking through some glass,
Uh-huh.
some magnified glass.
Oh, and it punched me in the face.
Magically jumped back and punched you in the face. A little scope bit.
And you say a month and a half ago, just so we're clear, that was a year ago, guy. I mounted that optic a year ago.
It's very fresh in my mind.
Mine too. My eye hurts when you tell the story.
Oh, I guess that was the next one is ours. We share this. So
yeah.
We put another one of those glass things that helps you look out really far. And
bear season starts in a week.
You very professionally had it professionally mounted.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all balanced out and ready to go.
Locked down, looks good.
And you brought it around me where somebody who should be able to dial it in very well with you.
You are a pro.
And so take a couple shots. Wow. They and they did the nicest thing for you.
They bore sighted it.
They bore sighted it, which it was already zeroed, but they bore sighted it. So we pull around at 100 meters, which is nothing. That's like throwing a rock. And this giant piece of paper, after 3 rounds or 2 rounds? 3 was 100% intact.
Unscathed.
It was doing great.
We did this professionally at one point for our living.
So we're like, okay, let's go to like 50 and see if we can get on the paper so we can fix some things. So we get on some paper, or we have an idea where it's going. When we start fixing, I keep looking at these knobs and I'm like, fuck, this does not make sense.
Story is great, folks.
Not make sense. Like, why?
I'm going to turn off the V8 or the V-twin while you do that.
And
tell the story.
It's baffling me. I'm looking at it, and an optic should not baffle me, but it's literally baffling me. Every adjustment we make, there's nothing that we want to do. We're going back off paper. Sometimes we get it. Things are wild, right? And from the get, I was like questioning this thing, but I guess when they mounted and bore sighted it, they switched the caps. So up and down was actually adjusting left and right, and left and right was adjusting up and down. So we were just doing this, right? And after 2 boxes, we thought we had it figured out. We still don't have it figured out.
So we go through 24 rounds. Can't figure out why this thing is just all over the paper. It's not going anywhere near where we want it to. And again, we do this for a living at one point. And he goes, I need to tell you something that's really bothering me. And I'm like, okay, because we're both furious at this point. And he goes, you know how the top knob is supposed to be your up, down, and the bottom knob, this nice knob is supposed to be your left, right? He's like, how come that has an R on it and that has a U on it?
Up or right?
Oh, shit. We've been going the wrong way this whole time. So, hey, point of the story is stick to pistols. Iron sights will work every time, man. You don't have to fucking worry about all that shit. So, yeah, my hunting rifle still has to go.
So what you're saying is you're going to pistol shoot for your bear?
I've been invited on a couple of times to go archery hunting for bear, and I'm like, why would you do that? No. Have you ever seen a pissed off bear? You with a stick and a rubber band? No. I love archery hunting, but I'm not doing it for bear, man. It's not happening.
That freaks me the fuck out.
Me too. I still carry a 45 on my hip when I go bear hunting with anything.
With a perfectly good rifle.
Exactly.
I'm surprised you don't have one on each, just in case. You're like, oh, malfunction, fucking grab another.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I've never had one get that close. Like I said, my shot was at 137 yards last time I got one. So yeah, absolutely not. No, I'm not going bear hunting with a bow and arrow. That's not happening. Yeah. Call me a bitch if you want. I get it. I totally agree. It's just not happening, folks. But yeah, so yeah, two professionals couldn't figure out how to zero a rifle. Did this for a living for how many years? And here we are.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Combined even more.
Even when you're not shooting well, shooting is still a good time though. I like going through ammo.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a little pow.
Oh yeah.
But I will add to my stupidity, my personal stupidity is for the longest time I never wore sunscreen in my life. And I never really burnt. Like I might get a tiny bit red at the beginning of summer, but I don't burn. In the last couple of years, I started putting a dot on the tip of my nose because it would get a little red and it'd be a little tender.
Okay.
And then every once in a while, I put like if I knew it was gonna be a long day of sun, a little bit on the old cheeks here, but that's it. Yesterday, the baddest teenager that fucking walked the face of the planet
I don't know about
showed up early in the morning to work on the ranch, and so we started like 6 o'clock, 6 something, and come about 3 o'clock, I'm like, fucking forehead was getting a little tender.
I sent a duty detail over to the super secret location.
My head hurts. I have a fucking migraine from it.
Really?
Dude, it hurts.
You're looking very sun-kissed.
I am sun-kissed, so which is leading to I'm cutting it short tonight. You're taking the reins here soon.
Yes.
But
a little bit of Gatorade, maybe some. Are you an aloe person? I'm sure you've had some.
I have an aloe. No, I haven't had it. Like just a few times if I ever had a burn. So I have an aloe plant, and we have aloe in the refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
I will be medicating my skin.
You know what else works? I probably won't work on your forehead though. Is
blowjobs?
That there's two things that work apparently.
Okay.
Tea. If you make tea and then pour it into the bathtub, the tannins help to reduce the sunburn. If it don't work, you can't hold your head under there that long. But it works.
You tell me it's the one time I don't have an iced tea sitting next to me.
Yeah. Don't like pour a gallon of iced tea on your forehead.
Oh,
It works.
No.
My mom used to do it.
I totally waterboard myself.
Yeah.
I get down with that.
That's all. Junior says he pops himself in the face with the scope of a rifle. Look, kid, we've all been there. Okay, we don't need you to rub that shit in.
Well, it's funny how he's still underneath the roof, but he's willing to talk some stuff.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah, see you in an hour, man. Right after the radio show, we'll see. Sandy's an amazing cook.
I just smelled it, and it has one of my favorite vegetables. I love veggies, people. Yes, I love my steak, but I also love green veggies. I love this shit out of broccoli.
Broccoli's your thing, huh?
It's so good. Broccoli, asparagus. Those are, I think, my two favorite veggies. So, mine's probably getting close to warm and all. But
well, hey, why don't I talk to Josh?
Sounds good.
Why don't you go feel better? And ladies and gentlemen, wish Shenanigans the best of luck, and you'll see him next week. In the meantime, you're gonna have to suffer through with just me. Hope you feel
Sorry,
better,
folks.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, for those that don't know, I spent a lot of time on our social media platforms, and I tripped over this one, and I'm going to bring him in right this second. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to my homeboy Josh with Consequence of Habit. Josh, how the heck are you, bud?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
I'm doing real good. Dude, I love your background. I love what you got going on there. That is a beautiful studio.
I appreciate that. I was lucky enough where I had a listener make this bad boy behind me, the artwork. Now, the wall, I don't want you to be tricked. This is like 4x8 sheets that I got from Home Depot that you throw. This isn't.
Those aren't your axe marks on that wood right there?
No. This is it's not from a 100-year-old barn that I dismantled myself. No.
I feel slightly deceived, Josh. I feel slightly deceived. That's okay. It happens all the time.
That's right.
I don't like to use words like naive, but here I am.
Listen, I feel bad. I mean, I probably shouldn't say anything, but because I've had multiple people compliment me on the wall, and I feel like I have to pull the curtains back and let them know. You two for $20 a sheet can have this wall.
There was a time in this show's history that we broadcast out of an auto shop, which was super cool because we had like classic cars behind us. But due to some security risks, we had to move to the super secret location.
Sure.
And every once in a while, we would use a green screen and we would put up like beaches and shit behind us. And people were like, "Where are you broadcasting from?" I'm like, "A car parts store, man."
Yeah,
it's right. All. It was awesome.
My glitchy ear.
For those of you that, go ahead, what'd you say, Josh?
No, go.
For those that don't know Josh, he runs. I know him by his Instagram, Consequence of Habit. Josh, let's start at the beginning.
Sure.
Tell us about your time in military service.
All right, so I went in the military. First of all, I tried going to college. That lasted not even a semester. So I ended up going into the military. That was 95. So we're going back a ways.
Yeah.
Went in the United States Air Force, went into guarded missiles out in the middle of nowhere in North Dakota, deployed to Kuwait, PCS to Turkey, and finished my time up in Sacramento, California at McClellan Air Force Base, which is now, well, closed. I was like literally one of the last people on base that was still military, and got out in 2000. So my military experience has been much different than everyone, post 9/11. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
I like it. I like it a lot. How was Incirlik?
It was one of the most amazing places I've been. I was really fortunate that I had some close friends, one of which had been there for like 6 years. He had married a local and was a big history buff. So I traveled all over the country, like checking out these historical sites that, you could find in the Bible. So it's a much different history than here in the US. So yeah, I loved it. It was amazing.
That's one of my favorite parts about military time is that, so we spent 3 years in Germany, and some of the things that, grew up a poor kid in Connecticut, man.
Sure.
I mean, I would have never had an opportunity for like that without the military. And some of the things I got to see, castles that, literally medieval wars were fought over some of this land. It's just so cool to think that stuff like that through.
We would hire like a local hunter to bring us up in the mountains to these historical sites. Cause they're like forgotten about, like the remnants of a castle. And you could see where like the Europeans had built it, and then the Arabs had taken it over and built on top of it in a completely different way. And then the Crusaders would take it back over. It's fucking mind boggling. Like that's, how far back in history. Now it's not really Turkish history, but just to see this stuff was, it was wild.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And it gives you opportunities you can never get any other way. And that's just my humble opinion. Well, thank you for your service. Even though it was Air Force, we can still be friends. Super cool. You guys always gave us a ride anywhere we needed to go. We really appreciated it. So now here I am scrolling through Instagram, and I trip over this account called Consequence of Habit.
Yeah.
Tell me about Consequence of Habit, because man, that is a powerful account. The messages that you are putting out to the veteran community, no one else is doing what you're doing. And I have a lot of respect for what you've got going on.
I appreciate that very much. So, I'm always quick to point out that Consequence of Habit, people ask me like, hey, was it because you've got these great habits that you want to share to the world? And it's the exact opposite. Like this thing was born out of my own bad habits and the consequences that I had either felt or were coming down the pike. So, like I said, I spent time in the military. I've been in law enforcement pretty much my entire adult career. So I saw the way that people in these communities, not all of them, but a good portion of them, the way they dealt with stress and they dealt with trauma and that was through self-medicating in some form. And that could be, for me, that was alcohol. That could be behavior. That could be a lot of different things. And, just this started off with alcohol, and I started looking at my own life and the things that kind of went along with it and the consequences. And a lot of times not a lot of times, almost every single time it came back to some, alcohol was involved at some point. So I had made this change. I had been sober for about a year, and this idea I'd been doing before that. I had hosted a podcast for a company that some people may know called Killcliff. It's was started by a Navy SEAL, and they said, hey, we want to do a podcast. My buddy's a Navy SEAL. We both do stand-up comedy. They said, hey, can you do this podcast for us? So we were doing that. COVID happens, and that just disappears, right? Like this is not happening anymore. So I had this studio sitting here with my faux wood wall, and I just jumped on the mic one night and started talking about like, this is what's going on. These are the consequences of my habits, and I've made this change, and my life has gotten a lot better. And more importantly, my family's life has gotten, the people I love the most, their life has gotten a lot better too, because of these little changes or big changes that I made. So that's just how it started. And then I started inviting other people, and it was a platform. And then I started having some, at least in my eyes, some big names. I've had on the former chairman, the Joint Chief of Staff come on, and I had professional athletes come on, and people started resonating with the name, and then the idea of like looking at the little shit we do on a daily basis and going, hey, is this something that adds value to my life, or is this something that compromises me in one way or the other? So about a year after that, we said we want to do more. I want this to be more than I don't want to say just a podcast, but we want to actually have in-person events. And so we filed our paperwork for a 501c3, and about 6 months later that went through. And since then we've kept the podcast, but we're rock and rolling with some in-person events. And we got one coming up here in October, which if veterans are interested, it's in Wilmington, Delaware. But we got Nick Lavery. I don't know if you know Nick Lavery is the so Nick's come. We're flying Nick in to come and speak about the power of habit and the role it's played in his life, and a couple other people that aren't on the veteran side. But that's kind of the down and dirty of it.
That's incredible. So that is absolutely amazing. I'm super excited to hear that. I didn't realize that you had in-person events. That makes me even happier to hear that. Yes, we spend this time in the military, and only reason I'm just speaking to what I know and have experienced. And this may apply to others as well. I don't know. But we spend this time in the military where everything, you are 15 minutes early for every single thing you go to. That's a good habit.
Yes.
Every single morning, you are going to be standing tall at 5:30 a.m. and you're going to run a couple of miles, and you're going to do some push-ups with 30 of your closest friends. And then some civilian hands you a sheet of paper that says DD-214 on it, and you let some of that slide. Certain things because you're so happy that you're not part of that machine anymore, that I can do whatever I want, and too much freedom can be a good thing, a bad thing. And so we're not going to get up at 5 a.m. to be at PT at 5:30. You might not start showing up at 15 minutes early anymore. Oh, and by the way, you know what? I don't have a piss test or a PT test tomorrow. I think I'll have a drink after dinner, kind of thing. And that's how it starts. And all those things build up. I retired 3 years ago from the Army after 26 years. And I thought I was doing all the right things. I went and got a good job. I worked at one of the big banks. I thought I was doing the right thing. And then some catastrophes happened, and I was 50 pounds overweight. I doing the wrong things. I made an ass out of myself on the 5th of July and with too much alcohol. And, hey, time to make some changes. And your account and what you are doing really resonated with me in a whole lot of ways. I wrote on my mirror in Sharpie accountability. Yes. So that I would see it every day when I'm brushing my teeth. And I can't thank you enough for what you are doing for not just our community, but there are others seeing it. You have a powerful message. Do not stop what you're doing.
Thank you so much. There's like times in this process where this has been going on for a couple of years, and where I'm feeling low about I don't know what your listenership is, but I tell the people like, oh, you got a podcast. That's great. Yeah, we're not Rogan, right? Like we're not bringing in millions of people seeing this. You're like, what am I doing? And I'll get messages kind of like what you just said. And it just solidifies like, yeah, you're on the right path. Can you just keep doing what you're doing? And I want to circle back to something you said. The military teaches a lot of great habits, a lot of them, some of the ones you just mentioned, right? Physical fitness, being there on time, being accountable, holding others accountable. There's just certain ones that I found that people, again, this isn't everyone, that were acceptable then in the moment, but are not serving them afterwards. And for me, that was alcohol, right? Like, so I could go, I could find some group to drink with just about any day of the week, and it was accepted and it was promoted. But that's great then and there. But when you're, you're 45 and you're getting drunk on a Tuesday night by yourself, yeah, you don't have to be Nancy Drew to figure out something's not right. And I also, I thought the military had changed me. I'm ADD. I grew up, I left alone. I didn't have a lot of discipline, but in the military, I excelled. In structure, I excel. And I thought the military had fixed that in me. Like I'd figured that shit out and I'm going to get out and but I imploded, man. Like left to my own devices, I imploded. I'll be the first to admit I need structure in my life and I accept that.
I love hearing that. And recognize we're in a spot where we recognize it. Some of our peers are not there yet, but I hope they're listening, and I hope that this is resonating, and I hope it clicks. It took a catastrophe in my life for my eyes to get open, and I hate that about myself, that it always takes something big to move the needle for me, and I have to get out of that. And so, yeah, I love what you're doing, man. I can't say enough good things. Folks, if you haven't gone on to Instagram and found his account yet, you absolutely need to. Well, let's do that. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Sure.
How can people find Consequence of Habit?
So like you said, we're on the social media, which is something I'm always struggling with because that just goes back into my like, I have an addictive personality, right? So, no one wants to be 47 and checking their Instagram way too many times a day, but the consequenceofhabit.org is our website. And from there you can sign up and you can see, things that we've got coming up, some events. You can register for them. We were doing more of the virtual stuff lately. It's just kind of been in person, but we're hoping to get back to some of the virtual events. We're on Facebook, not a huge presence, LinkedIn as well. But I would say that our website probably offers that's got everything on it, and you can sign up. We keep talking about getting a newsletter together, but that's coming down the pipe too. But we've got about 30 ambassadors across the country, and we're trying to make a good portion of those veterans, right? So we really want to be represented within the veteran community. Some of those are still in, some are veterans, but we got a really, really great core of military people in whatever form, whether they're active or reservists or veterans that are bringing that same message, man, because we are not unicorns, people like you and I. Like sometimes it takes, everyone's rock bottom is different, but listen, that's okay. It's like you're talking about acceptance, and now you move on, man. And that stoic quote, that's what stands in the way becomes the way, man. It's certainly held true for me.
See, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about right there. What stands in the way becomes the way. Come on, man. Write a fucking book, would you?
Man, I'm just plagiarizing. Yeah, stoicism. It's. I know it's kind of big in the military right now, but that's been a huge part of. I'm not great at it, but I try and start my day every day with just a little quote, right? Just like you held up that thing, or I'm sure you wrote on your mirror, accountability. Start my day being accountable. Try to, and then look at my day, what's involved in it. And in the perfect world, somebody at the end of the day looks at it and goes, "Hey, man, where did I miss? Where am I doing things right?" Accountability. That's all it is, man. Brutal honesty.
I got a call. I got a text message. It had to be Friday from an old Army buddy. And he's like, "Hey, man, it's time. I'm punching the ticket. I'm on the way out. What advice would you give me?" And the first thought that popped into my head is, under no circumstances should you take any advice that I offer you. Absolutely not. I'm not that person. You're coming to me for advice. This is what your rock bottom looks like. Okay. Yeah. You're there now.
Yeah.
And I was having this conversation with my kid, and he's like, "Dad, look at where you are. You're in a rough spot. You absolutely should be giving people advice to tell them how to not get here." And I was like, "Hey, man, I appreciate that perspective. I would not have looked at the situation that way. So thank you for saying that way." And every once in a while, out of the mouths of babes kind of things, they come up with some shit, and you're like, "Damn, that was good, man. Thank you."
Yeah. I'm doing something. Yeah. I think one of the struggles with people when they get out of the military is there's so much, especially I can only imagine somebody who's done their entire career, is it becomes such this part of your identity. And then it's kind of a sad thought that whatever we're involved in, that's something that big, once you're out, like the show keeps going, right? And I think if the people I've talked to, that they struggle with that, and they kind of feel like there's this family that they've been part of for the past 20, 30 years is no longer there, or maybe they are. It's a phone call every so often. So, one of the things we're trying to do is just like what the military does is build a connection through a shared purpose and challenge, like doing hard shit and having a core group of people that kind of lean on each other, hold each other accountable, and or at least just there to listen to, because that's what I believe a lot of people coming from that veteran community are missing when they get out.
That my hetero life mate and co-host, One Shot, boxer, big boxer.
Okay.
And he, I had trained under him for jiu-jitsu for a couple of years, but I had never seen him actually fight. Goes in and he just fucking destroys this dude that was standing across the ring from him. I felt bad for the kid only a little bit.
All right.
But afterwards, he's like, he's given his little, like, taking his belt and all that stuff. And he said something, he's like, hey, veterans, I'm talking to you. He's like, find what you love and go attack it. Go find struggle. And I was like, that dude's my new co-host. I got to go find him. I got to get him. I need to put him in front of a microphone. Yeah. And he does that. He has those epiphanies once in a while. And you're like, dude, you're a poet. How did you come up with that thing? And he's like, I don't know. I just thought it up.
That's great. That's great. That's great. We need it.
We do. The struggle, you need to struggle, especially, and I'm not making fun of your age. I'm 49. You said you were in your 40s. It seems like our generation, this age that we're at, we need some kind of struggle to work ourselves against and hold ourselves accountable to.
Yeah. This goes back to when I say I kind of self-destruct, we all need something, right? You need to have this sense of purpose, and it can't be easy, whatever you're going after, because that's what we're built for. I mean, that's what you did in the military. Like, it's hard for a reason, because in the military, when you do something hard, and this isn't just, the military doesn't have a monopoly on this. I mean, there's reasons like Hell's Angels make it hard to get in, because once you go through this process, you don't even have to like the other people you went through it, but you're going to have a respect for them. You're going to respect the fact that they've suffered with you, and that builds a bond that is very hard to replicate anywhere else. So yeah, we are meant to do some hard things. And I've had on a couple guys from, a man and woman from Green Beret Racing, and they're doing the same thing. They've recognized that when our people get out, they're having a really hard time because they've been doing hard shit the entire time. And now we just throw them out there and they're working at a bank, and, it's like a racehorse just sitting in a prairie, somewhere, like not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So they find things. So one of them climbed Everest. You got some other guys that are racing motorcycles. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, it's just make it hard, something you're passionate about, and have some fucking pride when you're done.
Josh, I love everything you're saying, man. You are well done. Very well done. Yeah. Josh, I want to respect your time. We're coming to the end of our time together. I know, you want to get back to the family. You took your time out of your Monday night to be with us. So one of the things that we try to end our interviews with is I may have skipped over a question or not given you an opportunity to talk about something you wanted to talk about, or I may have just glossed over something that you wanted to make a bigger point about. Take the next 2 minutes. The veteran community is listening, as well as the rest of the community as well. Take the next 2 minutes. The microphone is yours, uninterrupted. This is your time to shine. Lay it out there, man.
I love it. First off, before I get into that, I want to say thank you so much for having me on. Like, this is the first radio show I've done. I'm super stoked to be here, and I mean it. It's an honor. I'll say this: we are living in a world where this is just me and my soapbox, that habits have never been as important in the history of time as they are at this very moment. So whether it's the way our food is genetically modified, whether it's through technology, whether it's through porn, alcohol, drugs, everything out there is, our attention has become a commodity. And the only way that you can have this sense of free will, of understanding how your time is spent, being intentional about it, is to be brutally honest and really take a hard look at going back to the things you do on a daily basis, and think about, is this just something that's giving me instant gratification, or is this something that is just, at the end of the day, like, no one wants to look back at their deathbed and say, I spent 3,000 hours playing video games, or drunk, or hungover, or whatever it is. So be curious, man. Be curious about what you're doing. Take a look at it and be brutally honest. And if you see a fellow veteran that is partaking in, a behavior, whether it's drinking, whether it's actual behaviors of actions that just are making them feel good short term, you don't have to think too hard what these things are. Know that they're probably struggling in one way or the other. Like, don't condone it. Go like, my boy went out there and he got wasted again, or he's cheating on his wife. He's got 3 different girls. These things are usually a sign that someone is in a lot more trouble than they're putting on. So if you really care about your fellow veterans and the people around you, then care enough to have those hard conversations with them.
Josh, powerful words. Very well done. And the honor has been all ours, I assure you. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking to Josh with Consequence of Habit. If you have not looked him up yet, you're doing it wrong. You absolutely need to look him up. Look up Consequence of Habit on the gram. Not much of a Facebook following. That's okay. We don't like that platform either. But yes, there's a podcast. Go to the website, consequenceofhabit.org.
Yes.
And yeah, this is going to change some things for you. Good. It's really going to change some things for you. Josh, I can't thank you enough for taking time away from your family to be with us on this Monday evening. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it very much.
Have a great rest of your Monday night, and thanks again.
You too. Bye.
Wow, folks, that was one. I like that. See, that's the kind of stuff I like. We don't, we as a community need to come and hold each other accountable in a big way. And I love that he's holding others accountable, and that's important. Speaking of holding people accountable, I'm about to bring on one of our best friends ever. Allie says nope. But she looks like she's changed her name, and which means we're going to have to change our segment. Allie, how the hell are you?
Hi. So I'm sorry I'm not at my desk with headphones on. My kid starts college, so laptops are being fixed. So we're coming in live from my bedroom.
Words you should never say, especially on the internet.
Yeah. So I wait.
Hold on, girl. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You remembered. Thank
What were
you.
gonna say?
Your guest, I normally don't get a chance to listen to your guest speak, but I had some time and I'm like, oh, let me pop in early. And I'm so glad I did. So Nick Lavery is a Massachusetts kid and I know him. And
Probably got a Patriots shirt too, doesn't he?
yeah, so not only is he a badass, but his wife is a badass also. And they're fantastic. Yeah. So yay, Massachusetts.
How is his wife a badass? I didn't know.
I'm sorry?
How is his wife a badass? I don't know her.
She serves alongside him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Look her up. She's great.
More importantly, anything else interesting happened lately, Allie?
Oh, I took a vacation out in Myrtle Beach.
Just a little vacation?
Yeah, it's a little birthday getaway. Yeah. And then, this happened.
Hell yeah. That's what we're talking about.
And you can't see it because it's so bright. So there it is. There it is.
Congratulations on getting
Thank
engaged.
you. Thank you very much.
This means we have to change our segment from Allie Says Nope to Allie Says Yes. So congratulations.
Yeah, Allie said yes. It's just for
Well,
today. I'll be back to Ali Says Nope next week. But I wanted to talk about, because this, like, your guest holding people accountable. Yeah, I do that, and people either love me or they hate me for it, because sometimes veterans can't get out of their own way, and it's so easy to blame the VA, and it's so easy to blame bad leadership. And don't get me wrong, those things are variables, but 7 out of 10 times it's the veteran who can't get out of their own way. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, and I see it all the time, and I hate to say it, but like some of the phone calls that I get, I'm like, how did you make it this far in life? Like, you can't show up, you can't get blackout drunk the night before a compensation pension exam, miss the exam, they're going to deny you because you missed it, and then you get mad at the VA. Bro, these are the consequences of your own actions. You chose to get blackout drunk, right? Whether you have an alcohol problem or something, like, your actions have consequences, whether good or bad. And just so many times I just wish veterans would understand that. Like, you can't do that.
This episode is going to end up being one of my favorite episodes, and my hetero life mate's not even here for it.
Yeah, is he okay?
He's not.
Oh,
He's not.
we were all talking this morning, though. You were in the chat.
Oh yeah,
What
no. I don't know if you saw the beginning of the show. Homeboy
No.
worked his ass off yesterday in the hot sun and cooked himself.
Oh, aloe.
Yeah.
You should go rub aloe vera on his body.
I'm not rubbing anything. We have staff for that. I'm not
Okay.
rubbing anything.
You should get the intern to go rub aloe vera and
Yeah,
coconut oil.
Ali, so what you can't see is next to our studio is the med bay. And in the med bay, we have a recovery chair. It's one of those massagey chairs that like caresses all the parts that you don't wash very often. And I love it. It's my favorite part of coming to the studio. While sitting in that chair, I got a message from a friend who had gotten out of the Marines 11 years ago and was like, hey, PACT Act, should I file? Yes, ass, you absolutely should. You should have filed 3 weeks ago. But other than that, yes, you absolutely should.
So he hasn't. Sorry, let me clear up with the PACT Act. It's not just burn pit exposures. Yes, that's the big thing. If you served in Southwest Asia and you were exposed to burn pits, and you have symptoms of illnesses, the VA will concede it is because of your toxic exposure to burn pits, right? But they will also look at MOS. So firefighters are exposed to like the FFF or EEE foam or whatever it's called, jet refuelers.
It's aqueous film forming foam is what it's called.
Yeah. So that's toxic. Sailors exposed to asbestos and like metal shards, like the refab people. So they're going to look at your MOS and see what the likelihood was that you were exposed to toxic substances. So refuelers is a big thing, right? EOD guys, that's a big thing. So if you weren't exposed to burn pits, like let's say you were, I don't know, like a 92 alpha or like admin or whatever, you weren't exposed to toxins in your MOS, but you served time downrange and your chew was right next to the shit burning station, and you came out with some funky illness and some thyroid cancer or bladder cancer or whatever, you should file for PACT Act, okay? Vietnam guys, you also should file for PACT Act. If you were boots on ground Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Johnson Atoll, if you were Blue Water Navy within 12 nautical miles of the shore, you should file for PACT Act, okay? You haven't missed it. It was like, oh no, I had to file by the 14th. I missed it. No, the only thing you missed was getting back paid to August of 2022 when PACT Act signed into law. You can still file for PACT Act symptoms now, okay? But however, just like Agent Orange is not an illness, PACT Act is not an illness. You're not filing for PACT Act. You are filing for symptoms under the PACT Act because you were exposed to toxic exposure, particulate matter, and toxins related to your MOS, okay? So when you put on a 526EZ, when you get on va.gov and you start filing, you can't just put PACT Act. That means nothing. That means nothing. You're not filing for anything. But if you say rhinitis, you can put PACT Act. Sinusitis, you can put PACT Act. Any type of intestinal cancer, neck cancer, head cancer, any type of melanoma, you develop those, PACT Act, okay? If you don't have symptoms, then there's no need to file for PACT Act. You have to have symptoms. You have to have the diagnosis. So veterans, like I don't know what the VA was doing or is doing to educate. I feel like they just pushed out PACT Act with no guidance on this. And VSOs across the country, well, I don't know about across the country, but across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, we were holding PACT Act town halls. So here in Taunton, I got big VA to come down, and we had like an open town hall meeting with veterans in the community came in, and they had like an 1.5 hour long information session about what it is, what you can do, what it's not. I don't know what the other VSOs across the country were doing, but this has been like awful because there's no guidance on this. So just so you know, if you have some funky symptoms, please file for the PACT Act, because now it's a lot of these things are presumptive. So there's that.
Well, and just like you talked about, I believe it was last week, might have been the week before. If you have a disability rating that you are comfortable with, don't poke the bear.
Yeah.
You may lose things, not gain them.
Right. If you don't have any symptoms, leave your claim alone. Don't file for PACT Act. If you are 100% service connected, leave your claim alone. You're not going to get any more money. I promise. Okay. Like, well, if I add up all my shit, it comes to like 200%. Okay. That's not how the VA does their math. You cannot be more than 100% of a person. Okay. It's a whole person theory. You can literally get on YouTube, type in VA math, whole person theory, and the VA video will pop up. If you are likely to die of this illness that you have, then yes, file for the compensation, because what happens is if, let's say, you're 60% and you have, God forbid, pancreatic cancer, right? God forbid, file, because it's presumptive, especially if you have time down range, and you die of the pancreatic cancer, which you're probably gonna, because that's not a high survival rate. Your spouse, your next of kin, will get DIC, which is dependent indemnity compensation, which means a pension for the rest of your wife's life until she remarries. So why wouldn't you do this, right? However, if you are rated 100% for 10 years or more, and you just die, like you fucking get hit by a bus, your spouse is going to get DIC regardless. You still have to file for it. It's not automatic, but go talk to your VSO. So if you are already 100% and your knees hurt, leave your claim alone, because it is the VA's right to open up your claim and call you back for whatever you've already been compensated for. Oh, you filed for bilateral knees and you haven't been in the doctor in 4 years. Let's take a look at how you're progressing. Oh, you have post-traumatic stress and you haven't been in therapy for 6 years. Let's take a look at how you're progressing. The VA can absolutely do that. So I caution you, do not put in frivolous claims, because you're going to fuck yourself up and you got nobody to blame but yourself.
I need to meet the person, because I'm going to buy them a beer. Now, I don't drink alcohol. I want to buy them a beer, that thought it was a good idea.
All right, your spouse just died. What should we call it when you get
Dick. We're going to call it Dick.
Yes, I die and my wife gets dick. Really?
Your wife gets dick. Yeah, you die, your wife gets dick for the rest of her life.
The poetry just writes itself, Allie. I just don't.
I know. It happens. Allie. But then if the veteran is a female and she dies, the husband also gets dick.
Well, yeah, which is not what any guy wants. Well, not a lot of guys want. So, yeah, you're exactly right. Allie, because I'm short one hetero life mate and co-host, and obviously O'Connell Law is not joining us this evening.
Oh, bummer.
Well, it's good for them because they've got so many cases going on. They couldn't spare a lawyer.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm very happy that they have that. So good
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
But
They're fantastic.
would you help me with the safety brief for the week?
Oh boy. Okay. All right. Safety brief. We do not add to the
So-
population. We do not subtract from the population. No glove, no love. When in heat, wrap the meat. Please do not end up in prison or jail. Remember, if you get locked up on a Friday, the judge won't come in until Monday.
Establish dominance quickly.
Establish
I'm
dominance
gonna
quickly.
I'm going to throw out a personal one. If you
Yeah.
are going to go work on the ranch, get yourself a big sun hat, or you know what? We all got issued boonie hats. We couldn't wear them while we were in. You can wear
Why?
them now.
Can someone who knows this answer tell me why we were issued these wonderful hats but never were allowed to wear them? Like, that's stupid to me. They were awesome.
The boonie hat is one of the greatest things the United States military has ever
I
handed out.
know. I mean, we all looked a little silly, but they were awesome.
Kept
Why
your
couldn't
ears
we wear them? I know. We had the little doo-doo-doo. My father,
Little
who
what?
is a 509er, little doo-doo-doo. My father, right, is 509er, right? Geronimo. He still has his like their version of like booty hats. The camel pattern is not what we wear. But when I was enlisted, he would be like, Allie, get me a hat. Allie, get me a hat. I'm like, Dad. I was like, get your own hat. So when I would come home, I would literally go to the PX, the clothing and sales, and get this man a hat. And he still, to this day, will wear it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I wear mine all the time. It's great for bow hunting. It's great for fishing.
Yes.
I mean, I wear it all the time. I have one of those big like Asian looking bamboo hats that I wear to mow the lawn because
That's awesome. I need to see a photo. I need to see a photo.
Yeah, I absolutely. I look like I'm a lead farmer, motherfucker. To quote the great. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So wear your sunscreen and cover up, folks. The sun is hot.
Please wear sunscreen. Yeah.
Allie, you got anything else for the audience before I call it an evening?
Yeah. So one more thing. This came across my desk last week. For those of you who have a VA disability and you are on individual unemployability, meaning you cannot work. You can like part-time, you can't make more than what the poverty line is. Really look into Social Security, SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. They don't feed off each other. So if you have one, it doesn't disqualify you from having the other. So you can have both. However, you have to apply for them separately, and the criteria to be labeled disabled is different both from the VA and from Social Security. So there's like a whole thing like with Social Security, you have to have a disability that will prevent you from working for at least 12 months. With the VA, we know that's not the case. So if you are labeled individual unemployability through the VA, really take a look at Social Security. You can get on socialsecurityadministration.gov and just type in VA benefits and Social Security. I was on this website earlier today, and it'll give you a checklist, like what's the difference between VA compensation and Social Security and the do's and don'ts. So that'll help supplement your income, especially, if you're struggling because you can't work, you can't make the money you were making before. But that's all I got.
Good to know. I didn't know any of that. I would have never occurred to me. So that's good to know. I'm still work, so I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Allie, again, happy birthday and congratulations.
You want to see it again? Look at it. Ooh, look how shiny it is.
I'd like to,
look how big it is. That's what she said.
In fact, it is what she said. Just
it
not
is.
To me, but she did say.
Right, and I did say yes. So thank you. I appreciate you.
What do you call it? So when is this event happening?
Maybe 2025. I don't know. We're kind of like throwing, like, he wants like 30 people. I want 200 people. So, Oh yeah. No, you guys already made the list. So.
As long as I don't have to go to Foxborough and walk on that grass, I'm fine with it. Do whatever you want.
Oh, that's exactly where it's going to be now. It's going to be on the 50-yard line. Yep.
Allie, have a great Monday. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for all the great information. Have a great rest of your night. Ladies
You
and
too.
gentlemen,
I
I can't thank
appreciate
you for being part of From the Ashes Radio on About Face Media. Have a great rest of your night. Thanks for joining us.
See ya.
Bye.